The FINCH 1 study is a phase 3 trial that had evaluated the efficacy and safety of filgotinib, which is a new JAK inhibitor, quite selective to JAK1. And in this trial, we evaluate efficacy and safety of filgotinib in patients with rheumatoid arthritis who had an inadequate response to methotrexate. So it's a usual population in RA, and in all clinical trials we have that kind of population where the compounds have to be tested. So the trial is a one-year trial, but we'll discuss about only the first 24 months data, and the primary endpoint is at 12 weeks. So it's a phase 3, as I said, a randomized controlled trial with an active comparator. That means that we have two dosage of filgotinib, 200 milligram per day, 100 milligram per day. The active comparator is adalimumab, and we have a placebo group, so 4 groups. All of them are on top of methotrexate. The primary endpoint is ACR20 by week 12 versus placebo. And we have many other secondary endpoints. The inclusion criteria and many patients with active disease, but on top of that, we need some bad prognostic feature, which include 1 erosion at least, plus positivity of rheumatoid factor or anti-CCP, or 3 erosion if the antibodies are negative, or high CRP. So the primary result is ACR20 by week 12, as I said, and for this outcome, the 2 dosage of filgotinib plus MTX was significantly superior to placebo plus MTX. The 200 milligram dosage does a little bit better, provide a little bit better results than the 100. And adalimumab was at almost the same level than the 100 filgotinib dosage. The onset of action was rapid, and we can see a significant difference by week 2. And the effect was sustained until 6 months. For the secondary endpoint, it was quite similar, with a significant difference versus placebo for the 2 dosage of filgotinib based on ACR50, ACR70, ACT, I mean disability index, SF36, and fatigue. So all these clinical outcome measures showed a significant difference versus placebo, and adalimumab was all again show a similar result compared to the 100 milligram filgotinib. Now moving to two specific outcome measure, DAS28 CRP lower equal to 3.2. In this, for this outcome, once again, significant difference versus placebo for the 2 doses of filgotinib at week 12 at week 24. But for this outcome, there was a comparison versus adalimumab. And this was a pre-specified evaluation. And the non-inferiority, it was a non-inferiority design. The non-inferiority was demonstrated for filgotinib 200 versus adalimumab. There was no significant difference, significant non-inferiority for the 100. And when the superiority was tested, despite there was numerical difference in favor of the 200 milligram versus adalimumab, this difference didn't reach significance. When we move to the DAS28 lower than 2.6, that is frequently called remission. Once again, the 2 dosage of filgotinib was superior to the placebo group at 12 and 24 weeks. And the non-inferiority was demonstrated versus adalimumab for the 2 dosage of filgotinib. And in addition, there was a superiority of the filgotinib 200 versus adalimumab by week 12. So the last efficacy measure was radiographic progression based on the Van der Heyden modified sharp score. There was an emission of the radiographic progression by week 24. That was the primary for this outcome, and it was versus placebo, and it was very similar to the adalimumab group. And what we have to note is that it was already significant by week 12. That shows a very rapid onset of action for this drug. Regarding safety, on a single trial, it's always difficult to evaluate clearly the safety. Anyway, there is no real difference between the 4 arms. For example, the serious treatment emergent adverse events were very similar in the 4 arms. There is slight increase of serious infection in the 2 filgotinib group versus placebo, but little bit lower compared to the adalimumab group. No signal for epizoster, no signal for cardiovascular event or venous thrombosis, no signal for death. In lab tests, there was a slight increase in the number of neutropenia and lymphopenia in the filgotinib groups, specifically in the 200, and no signal on liver disease. So in summary, this phase 2 trial, that is very important because it's in the methotrexate adequate responders, that it should be the population where the drug will be licensed. So the compound show a clear efficacy versus placebo and at least a non-inferiority versus adalimumab with a good safety profile also. I think it's important because this trial, in addition with the other trials that are in the development plan, mainly the phase 3 trial, should allow this drug to be licensed within 2 to 3 years. We always need more information regarding this kind of drug, so we will have more information in early RA, for example, that will be also presented during this conference. But what is clearly very important is to have more safety data. It's valid for every drug. That means that we need to have pool safety data for the different trials that have been performed. The phase 2 trial with long-term extension, the phase 3 trial that will be pooled also with long-term extension.